Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be here today, and I hope we're all happy to be here and to join me today again on another episode of Finding Out with Special Needs. I'm really excited about today's episode. It's called Industry Focus. And I have two special guests that will be joining me right from the beginning. So I'll talk a little bit about industry focus, and then I'll read the bio of my guests, both of them, and then I'll invite them straight away into the studio so that we can hear from them. So I won't be doing a lot of talking today. I'm just going to let them school us, okay? So welcome again, everyone. Thank you for joining in. I want to say a very big thank you for choosing to spend your time with me this evening, with us this evening, learning about everything that has to do with special education, special needs, and inclusive education. I truly appreciate you. Say hello to me. Say hi. I can see you, Vicky Wilson. I can see everyone. I can see you. Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you. Together we'll learn, together we grow, together we'll make the world a better place for our exceptional learners. So once again, I'm Lola Aneke and I welcome you to another episode of Finding Out with Special Needs. And today, like I said, we're having a special edition titled Industry Focus. Industry Focus will have industry focus every first Sunday of the month. And it's going to be an exciting time because we're going to be learning from both local and international experts in this field. So I'm really thrilled today. I wish you can feel my pulse and my heartbeat. I'm truly excited that we're doing this because I believe there's so much we can learn from one another and there's so much we can learn from around the world. So, yes, that's what industry focus will be. We'll be talking about everything that has to do with special and inclusive education. We'll be looking at different practice of inclusion and special needs from different schools within Nigeria and from different experts within Nigeria and outside Nigeria. So today, I would like to first read the bio of my guests before I let them into the studio. Thank you once again, Tisa, Sunday Precious, Joe and Tisa, thank you for joining. For everyone that will join afterwards, I want you to know that I appreciate you and I really, I feel honored that you choose to spend your evening with us today. So I'll read Dominic's bio first. I hope I'll do a good job with this because it's quite an interesting one. Dominic has over 6 years hanging tough with Zani Middle Schoolers and is a middle school dean at Basis International School, Guangzhou, China. Prior to China, she taught middle school science at the American International School, Abuja. Yes, she taught middle school science at the International School, Abuja, Nigeria. She has also been a special education teacher at the Metropolitan Nashville Public Schools and a lead sorry, at the Metropolitan Nashville Public School and a lead special education teacher at Jackson Madison County School System in Tennessee, United States. She's a certified special education teacher working on completing a second master degree in educational diagnostics, very much needed. She's also on the advisory council of the Association of International Educators and Leaders of Color, AIEL OC. Dominic is mom to a 10-year-old with special needs. So I think I'll let Dominic in while I also read our next guest bio. 1 minute. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Dominic? Thank you and welcome. I just read your bio, but I need to bring in the next guest after reading that bio and then we'll hit it straight off. Thank you so much for honoring this invitation. And the next guest is someone I've always known, but we got deeper today. Her name is Ellen Nana Kay, and she has a background in early years child. Sorry, let me take that again. Nana, Ellen Nana Kay has a background in early years care education and applied behavioral analysis (ABA) from the Athlone Institute of Technology at CO Westmeath, Ireland. She is also the founder of Patsy. I hope I called that right, but don't worry, she's gonna come on and introduce herself properly. Patsy Sasta, Happy Children Early Intervention Initiative, which uses evidence-based early intervention strategies to support children. 1 minute. Children who need additional support in their learning environment. So I'll take that again. She is also the founder of Patsy Sasta, Happy Children Early Intervention Initiative, which uses evidence-based early intervention strategies to support children who need additional support in their learning environment. She's also the director of the Nutrition as a Means of Healthy Living, Nana's Delight. I believe it. I believe effective leadership is predicted upon effective communication skills, which have become crucial for the empowerment of the world we live in today. I totally agree with that. She has over the years participated in various trainings like AAC, which stands for Augmentative and Alternative Communication System, sessions under the Department of Speech and Language Therapy, Trinity College Dublin, the Lego-based therapy training sessions under the Autism Research Centre, Cambridge University, UK, the ACP, which is HACCP, Hazard Analysis Critical Control Points, training in Athlone Institute of Technology in conjunction with the Environmental Health Association of Ireland. I hope I did a good job reading your bio. Please forgive me, but I'm going to give you the chance to let us know who you are. So I'm going to welcome Nana straight into the studio. Hello, Nana. Can you see me?
Yes, I can. Hello.
Can you hear me also? Wow, it's a full house. Thank you so much, ladies, for choosing to join us today. We are really excited to have you. Everyone is excited. We're happy to have you, Dominic. We're happy to have you, Nana. Thank you so much for honoring this
Hello, Dominic.
invitation. Thank you. So I would want you to please, are you still there? Can't see you. Good, good, good. I'd want you to still please introduce yourself to us. I think we'll go according to how I read your bio so that people don't mix it all up. No, we're all students. So we don't want to forget. We want our memory, our short-term memory to take it to the long-term memory. So please do us the favor of introducing yourself again, Dominic. When you're done, then Nana will take it after you. Thank you.
All right, thank you. You did a wonderful introduction. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
So I am Dominique Blue, wife, mother, international educator, lifelong learner. I'm a special education teacher by trade. As you mentioned, I am certified in the state of Tennessee in the U.S. I'm certified to teach students in grades K through 12. Students who have disabilities that are more on the mild to moderate end of the spectrum. I am one course away from completing a second master's in educational diagnostics. Unfortunately, COVID has really kind of pushed those plans to the back burner, with a lot of schools closing and it being very difficult for me to complete my internship. As you mentioned, I am also on the council of the Association of International Educators and Leaders of Color. And the work that we do there is kind of focused on diversity, equity, inclusion for international educators, because really out here in these international streets, for anyone who's been working, we are very much aware that our experiences are quite different than our white counterparts. And so the organizations serves to bring awareness to the things that we're going through and to focus on more diversity in international schools and international educators. Because when you think about it, these institutions primarily serve students of color. Right. And so if that's the case, then we need to be advocating that those students are getting the support that they need and deserve.
Interesting. Well done, and we're so proud of you. We are rooting for you and wishing you the very best in all that you do. Because one thing I say to people is that if any of us win, then we all win together. So we're praying you do well and you get that certificate, and then we're all winners. Congratulations in advance. Now I'm gonna go to Nana. Nana K,
Yes.
please tell us about yourself.
Okay, I actually, my background, my first degree was actually in linguistics from the University of Benin. And
Wow.
so early years care and education is my second degree. And that's, I have that in Ireland. And I'm just rounding up my master's in science in applied behavior analysis from the National
Interesting.
University of Ireland, yes. So I'm kind of rounding up with my thesis right now. So
So,
that's basically what I am doing right now. And
okay.
I have worked with children with various disabilities. So I've worked with children with cerebral palsy. I've worked with children with Down syndrome. But my specialty really now is in early intervention
Interesting.
because the first 5 years, research tells us that those years are very crucial, and so that is those are the years where I want to really put my specialization into and support children who get a diagnosis and immediately can come into our educational setting so that we can provide them early intervention through applied behavior analysis, which is evidence based and all about data. So that is where my interest really lies right now.
Wow, wow. You ladies are making me so proud. Like I'm super, super proud of both of you right now. Dominic is into color, learners with people of color, but learners with of colors, and you are into early intervention. So you see how wide special education can be and where you can fit in. We all have our roles to play. We can complement one another. So to me, for me today, I feel super honored to have both of you in your various spaces doing great things. I'm super proud of you and thank you. Now I'm going to
Thank
dive
you.
back. I'm going to digress a bit. Today is my coach's birthday. He doesn't know I'm going to do this.
Oh
And I
wow.
wanted to us all to shout a happy birthday to him, but I'm going to give you a clue as to when to do that. He's not expecting this, but I want us to do it. And for everyone, if you're watching us, type happy birthday. His name is Mr. Rotimi. I call him Mr. Rowe. So I want us to shout at the count of three. If you're typing, type happy birthday, Mr. Rotimi. So I'm going to go now. One, two, three. Happy birthday, Mr. Rotimi. I'm just gonna be like, why do you do that? But I wanted to know that it's someone that I truly respect and I appreciate him for all that he does. I love his courage. I love his thinking. I love the way he pushes me. So I feel that part of what I'm doing today is because of his direction and his mentorship, and I feel I owe him this. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for doing this for my coach. Thank you. Now let's get back to our topic for today. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone online. Thank you for that beautiful shout out to Mr. Rotimi. Now, you both said to us what you do, and of course, both of you are special educator. If we would get, I mean, you're a special educator in the space of early childhood, that's early intervention for Nana, and then Dominic, special education, K through 12, focusing on students with of color. So interesting. Now, I wanted you to tell us you already told us about your background, your specialization. I've read your bio, but there's always a reason. I believe for everything in life, it doesn't just happen to us. I know you read linguistics, Nana, and then Dominic has, I mean, she's done special education. She's going into educational diagnostic. Why did you choose what you're doing right now? Why that particular field of study? Why? So, Dominic, could you go first? Let's just keep going the way we were introduced. Dominic, could you go first? Tell us why. Why did you do this? Why did you choose this path?
Okay, so starting with me.
Yes.
So for the field of special education, I can't really say that I chose it, that it chose me really. So I have a son who has special needs, right? And so that's something I did not know during my pregnancy. It was a normal pregnancy. And so when he was born, it became apparent, I guess, to the doctors that there was some things going on with him. So my son has 1p36 deletion syndrome. And since day one, it's been, I guess, a roller coaster, if you will, ups and downs. And so very early on, just even before he started preschool, just thinking back to childcare, that was very difficult for me to find consistent childcare for him. And so I'm sure that many other parents, of children with disabilities and special needs can relate to that, finding good quality and consistent childcare.
Yeah.
And so realizing at that moment how even difficult it was to find childcare, I just knew right then that I had to, get ahead of what his education would be. And so that inspired me to go into special education so that I could be his best advocate for, the difficulties that I knew would come with educating a child with special needs, educating a Black male child with special needs. And so that's how my journey into special education started. I went to get a master's in special education, and it just kind of jumped off there. So while I was in graduate school, I also worked at a special needs school for students with behavior, I guess you want to say, issues or deficits. So I worked there as a paraprofessional, and that gave me a lot of experience of, some great things that can happen and maybe some things that I don't necessarily want to do. And so that's how I got into the field of special education. So for me, it is very much personal, and I bring that into everything that I do because, sitting across the table from a parent, I've been there, I am there.
Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting, interesting. Thank you so much for that, for being so open and letting us know your story, because I believe that people out there who are parents
Mhm.
or thinking, oh, I can't find the right education. Should I just keep my child at home? Should I just let him be, or do I take him, just stay the way I am and not let people just frustrate me and all of that? But you took the next steps, and I'm sure this story will encourage one parent or the other out there. So Nana, over to you. Could you tell us why this path? Why did you choose this path?
Okay. Just really, it found me in a way that I least expected. Like I said, my background is my first degree actually is in linguistics, and so I'm very passionate about early literacy and numeracy skills for young children, and I believe in
Hold
bio.
on. Can I just you're a bit faint. I don't know why. I can hardly hear you. Dominic, can
Okay,
you hear Nana?
can you hear me?
Yes, the volume is low, but I can hear her. Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
So a bit it's a
okay,
bit
I'll
low.
speak. Okay,
Yeah. Could you just speak a little bit louder? Sorry. And for
okay,
everyone, if you cannot hear, let us know so that we can adjust, make adjustments for our audience, for our viewers. Let us know if you can't hear us clearly, so that this will be what our while. So Nana, sorry to cut you.
no
I just
problem.
need to put that out there. Thank you.
Okay, so like I said earlier on, my first degree actually was in linguistics, and so I'm very passionate about early literacy and numeracy skills for children. And so when I went in for early years care education, that was what I wanted to do initially. And I believe in bilingual education. So I was born and brought up in Kano, in Nigeria. And I've always believed that the fact that a child does not speak English does not mean that they are not intelligent. So I truly believe in bilingual education, and so I wanted to, kind of merge the two. But then I was sent into a school where I was placed in the autism unit, and I had an encounter, and I saw a teacher handle a young child in a way that I thought, I think I can do better. Because I think that when you're dealing with children who need additional support, you need to bring in empathy. Everything is not 2 plus 2. So I thought, you know what? I think I can do better. And then I decided that that was the path I wanted to go. And so I went and took a diploma in special needs assisting, and then decided to go for a master's in applied behavioral analysis. So that's really how my journey into special needs evolved.
Wow. Sorry for okay. Thank you so much. Thank you. Can you hear me, Nana? Can you hear me,
Yes, I
Dominic?
can.
Fantastic. I can hear you clearly now. I had to put my earpiece so I could hear you
Okay.
louder. So I just wanted to recap what both of you have said, and then I wanted to get the morale of what this question, your responses have been. So Dominic found herself in a situation, and she decided that she needed to do something about it. Not only did she do something about it for her own son, she went ahead to ensure that she spreads the knowledge to other people's children. That's a great one for me, and I needed to highlight that. Now, Nana, you have nothing. You don't have a child with special needs. I doubt if you have anyone related to you,
No.
but you found that there's a need, and then you've been pushing and moving on and on to ensure that I feel that you felt responsible, you feel responsible for that child who is living with disability in one way or the other. And for me, that is the ultimate way. For I mean, in anybody in this field, if this are the if each of these answers you both gave me was everyone's story, then I believe the field of special education or inclusive education, myself would say kaboom, would have gone really far. But we're getting there when we hear people like you speak, when we hear people like Dominic speak, then we know that there's, like I said to you earlier on, there's hope. And then we're pulling one another and we're trying to build the sector. We're trying to see what we can do indeed to contribute our little quota and to ensure that individuals with disability are fully included in our educational system, in our society, and all that we do. And we're going to get to that also because I know Dominic is in China right now. I know she's from the US, but she's in China. She had been in Nigeria. You are a Nigerian. You've been in Nigeria. You've been to Ireland. You've been to UK, and we're going to ask you what your experiences have been. But I don't want to jump now. So thank you for that. Now you also spoken to us about what you do, but I'd want you to just tell us what your daily experiences are. So let me start with Nana. I know you're doing a lot of studies right now, and I know you've worked with children with disability at some point, even as you're doing your studies. What is your typical day like based on what you do for children with disabilities?
Okay, look, I have a teaching council number here in Ireland because you need that to teach. I need certification to teach. So my teaching council number with the masters that I'm doing actually qualifies me to not only support children but also train teachers in behavior analytic principles and also train parents to support them. Because just like Dominique said, she mentioned being in a school where she learned about behavior analytic, people, maybe children who are challenges and how to handle that. So we basically what I do is I have to support the children that I have through telehealth, which is what we've been using now because of COVID-19. And then I have to make sure that the parents can create spaces where there's continuity of learning for the children. Because with COVID-19, what happened was everything just came to a halt and stopped. So we had to help continuity for the children. Because as you know that children on the spectrum really like routine. And when that routine is broken, that is a big issue. And I realized that a lot of parents were not really ready for that. So my typical day is I wake up, I read, and then I go online to check in with my parents and then check in with the children that I have a few children that I do the one-on-one with, check in with them, and then what if the parents have any issues, we talk about it, we look at the plan, the behavioral plan, and we need to change it, or if they have met the criteria, all that, and then we then come to a plan or what to do, if we should stop it or if we should go ahead and change the intervention.
Fantastic. You said something, and I'm going to quickly recap it. You said you wake up, correct me if I'm wrong, you read. Did you
Yes,
say that?
yes,
Now,
every
and
morning.
that's one thing that I'll say some of the things you mentioned, but I had to capture that. And I wanted everybody listening, because most of the people watching us are either special educators, general educators who are working with children with special needs. And when I speak to people during trainings, or I try to talk to people that I coach and mentor, I say to them that it's one thing to say I'm a special educator or an inclusive educator, but there's a part we need to play. And I always say to them that we are not yeah, we're superstar, yeah, we do a lot, but then we need to always, there must be a plan and the place of preparation. So I want to believe that what you're reading is not like you just want to read the novel. You're reading in preparation for your day. Am I correct?
Yes, yes, I read every morning. I like to know what's happening with the OECD. So I read to know what is happening in my profession. And of course, as a behavioral analyst, I'm also moving towards my certification exam. So I have
Mm-hmm.
to read to keep up with what is happening every time, every point in time, so that I can give my clients, parents, and teachers the best, if you know what I
Thank you.
mean. So I
Thank
can
you.
be.
I always say to my people, I say to them, teachers are researchers, special educators are researchers. Every day we need to keep researching. The world is evolving, things are changing. What you knew yesterday, what you knew 2 years ago, might not work you through what you're going through today. So the ability to wake up every day to do research, to read, so that you are not just blank. You are not like, here we go. What are we going to do today?
Mm,
Thank you for sharing that with us. And then you check in with your parent. Not only do you teach your children, you check in to be sure that the children are doing okay, the parents are doing okay, they're comfortable with whatever you're doing with the child. You do a review of the plan, and then you retrace your step and probably tweak if you need to tweak, and ensure that everyone is on the same page for the benefit of the child. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you so much. Now, Dominic, over to you. What's your typical day like? Yes, we understand it's COVID, but what's your typical day like working with children with disabilities?
Oh, could you say it again?
Mhm.
No, could you repeat that, please? Sorry.
Okay, so I said almost the same question I asked Nana. I said you both are in different part of the world, and I wanted to see what your typical day is like. Could you please share with us, because I believe our audience, our viewers are listening to us, and they have one thing or the other to learn from you, and want you to share what your typical day is like as a special needs educator.
Absolutely. So in my, I guess, latest position, I just transitioned jobs. So in my position as middle school dean, I focus on supporting the academic needs of students and also their behavior needs and working with middle schoolers. My day would definitely look, different from day to day, sometimes even,
Mhm.
hour to hour. But what that looked like for me was just, running reports to see what the scope of the students' academics were, seeing what students were in need of support and how widespread that need was. And so once I identified students, deciding, okay, what is my caseload going to look like? What should I handle and what should be delegated to other members on the support team.
Hmm.
And so the, I guess, support looked differently for the kids. If they needed remediation of skills, for some of them, it could have been organizational skills that I would help support them, or even some social skills training. And so the support was based on the need. On the behavior side, it was the same as well. So some of that involved supporting the students as well as supporting the educators. So if a teacher had a problem with a student or noticed something, they would come to me, hey, I'm observing this. Can you come and look at this student? And I would go in and do observations, between multiple classes, because we know that sometimes students may behave differently in one class versus the other because of the classroom environment, culture, teacher, all of those dynamics.
mhm,
And so that was one part of it. Um, Working with educators as well was one, even with the academics, doing collaboration with other support personnel like the EOL department, because a lot of our students overlap. Students who were having academic concerns were also maybe new to the being instructed in the English language. So working heavily with the EOL department was something that was a daily part of my day. And then also just general meetings, between grade levels, seeing what's happening in primary, seeing what's happening in the high school, meeting with the school counselor to see how that aspect, intersected with what was happening academically and behavior in the classroom, because a lot of times the academics and behaviors that you were seeing could be related to something that the student was experiencing at home that the school counselor would be familiar with. So
Mhm.
having those different meetings as well to all be on the same page about, okay, this is happening or this is not happening, or this is something to look out for and potentially plan for. So as a middle school dean, my job was kind of expansive, but it really just focused on supporting the needs of the students, no matter what those needs were, and supporting the students. That also looked like reaching out to the parents, having parent meetings, informing the parents of ways that they could support their students as well, and also, what my job entailed, things like that. And
Good, good, good.
so from this point on, I'm going to be the learning support coordinator, which is more of the special education role. And what
Mhm.
that will look like for me is simply just supporting students where they need it, providing instruction inside the classroom, push in, pull out,
Mhm.
doing a little assessment testing to see what the needs are, and just moving from there.
Wow, wow, I wonder how you find balance in all of this, but I'm thankful to you because I say to people, it's not an easy job, but when you put your heart
It's
to
not.
it, you find that you're just flowing. It may look easy, but I think what keeps me going is my heart is in what I do. So at the end of the day, I
Mhm.
wonder how did I get all of this done, And that's one thing that I keep saying to people I speak with, my mentees, my anyone that I find I care to listen. Your heart needs to be. This job is not for everyone.
Yeah.
Includes special education. It's not for everyone. It's not a job of, oh, how much am I going to be
Mhm.
paid for this? Money is important, but it's more of where is my heart? Am I really, really cut out for this? Passion, passion, very important because these are humans you're dealing with. These are you have the life of people in your hands. It's such a rare privilege given to anyone to be called parents or to be called, will I call it? Yeah, to be called parents and to be called teachers, particularly teachers of children with disabilities. It's a big responsibility that you do not want to mess up. And the only way I'm going to go Christian on you right now. The only way you can go through it is by giving all of your heart and trusting God to help you. And when I say giving all of your heart, that means you're going to go all the way to check and be sure that you're doing everything right. In a world where, particularly this part of the world, where there's nothing, no quality assurance per se, it's there, but no one is checking anyone. You are not, you don't, everybody seems to know what they're doing, but you need to check yourself and be sure that even when no one is watching, is there fidelity to the practice? Am I doing what I said I would do without anyone watching, or who am I accountable to? And for me, all that you've said today, and I'm going to really quickly recap it before I go to the next question. One thing you said that struck me was, but before I go there, you said ELL. For the benefit of those who do not understand what ELL is, I'd want you to tell us what ELL is. I know in the field of special education and inclusive education, we have a lot of acronyms, ABA, ELL, ELP, and
Mhm.
all of those, ESL. So, for the benefit of those who might be wondering what is ELL, please could you please break it down to us?
Yes. So ELL refers to English language learners, and so that may be a different acronym depending on where you're located. And
Mhm,
so, since I do work at an international school, we have quite a few students whose mother tongue or first language is not English. And
mhm,
so, those students who are still new to the language definitely need some support to build their English language skills. And so when those students, well, when a student encounters academic difficulties, sometimes it can be hard to distinguish, where the difficulty is coming from. Is it something cognitive? Is it related to the academics, or is it, the language? Most of the time, we don't even think about lack of instruction, but that can be a cause as well. And so usually students are placed in ELL if they have very little exposure to the language. And so, yeah, so I work a lot with that department as well, because still at that time, it's not really for certain where their difficulty is coming from, but we know that they do have a low proficiency in the English language, so they're
English
usually
language.
placed in ELL.
Okay, based on the fact that their first language is not English. And we often in this field, we hear people, some people say, and we have that also in Nigeria, where we have some students who they come from home, like when they start, they may not start school early, maybe they start school in primary school, and then when they get to school, they're speaking their native language, and then the classroom, the teacher just term them as being dyslexic. Could you please explain the difference between ELL and being dyslexic to us, please?
Oh, me?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Because you said ELL.
Okay, so ELL again is simply a student who is, for this purpose, new to the English language, and a
Mm-hmm.
student who has dyslexia. There is a greater need going on. So it kind of depends on the student. But I'm trying to recall the specifics of dyslexia. But it's a student who just has, difficulty with reading, and so it's going back to kind of figure out where is that difficulty coming from. And so for some students, it is the way maybe that their brain functions, some of it, and also it could be a combination of ineffective, I want to
Instruction.
say, literacy instruction, some of it. But with effective literacy instruction, some of that can be remediated. But EOL is not I guess, cognitive deficit, if you
Mm-hmm.
will,
Yeah.
versus someone having dyslexia where there is, a deficit.
Thank you. Thank you for that
Mhm.
clarification.
Yes.
Then I'm coming to you now, and you said something I missed, and I want you to explain how that works. And so tell us again the part of the world you're in right now. And how does this work? So you said something about you have your certification number to be able to teach children with disabilities. And one of the reasons why we're having industry focus is we're trying to look at the different practices in different parts of the world so they can help shape our own belief and our own practices also in this field. And I like the fact that you said that how does that work? And another thing I realized and I'm not trying to be negative, but I've seen this firsthand, and I've seen people say, "Oh, I'm certified," but they can't even defend the certificate. So, how does this certification number, certification, and how does it work? How often? How do you check for professionalism and all of that when it comes to certification in your part of the world? But please do not forget to tell us where you are joining us from, so that people will understand what you're talking about and how it works.
Okay. I live in Ireland, so it's a small island, not too far from England. It's in Europe. So in Ireland, for you to teach, first and foremost, let me get it out there that unlike the practice that we see mostly in Nigeria, I mean, not all the time, but most times, sometimes people go into teaching when they can't get a job, perhaps in the banks or in a blue chip company. In this part where I am, you actually need to do really well in your living cert exam, whatever exam, for you to become a teacher, for you to even get in at all, because you have to be smart and competent academically
Mhm.
for you to be put in the classroom, because teaching is not a job that just anybody can do. You need to know
True.
what it is you're impacting to the children. So when I finished my early years care and education, I was in a position where I could open my own preschool, start my own preschool, and teach young children from the
Mhm.
ages 0 to 6 with the framework, the curriculum framework for Ireland for the early years. But when you then go into applied behavior analysis, what happens is you are going to be not only supporting children with who need, or adults, in fact, who have special needs or need additional support, like we like to say, you're also going to train teachers, and you're also going to train parents and support them. So you need to get a certification. And that certification also has different categories because you have people who are primary school teachers and they get certification for that.
Yes.
And then you have people who actually are post primary and you have that certification for that.
Mm-hmm.
And but the certification we get is such that we can also train, like I mentioned earlier, teachers and parents because of the nature of what we're doing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's we're not just going to the class and teaching them just basic academic skills, but you're looking at vocational skills, and then you also have to put in, ABA is under psychology,
Mm-hmm.
so you also have to also bring a bit of therapy as well. So with all that combined, you need a special kind of certification as well, and there are regulations put in place for that. Without that, you're not going to get paid by the government, and you cannot, under any circumstances, practice, because the truth is parents are going to ask you, because the parents will get the forms that they fill. You have to put in your certification number, and that gives them the confidence that, okay, this person has gone through a process and the government has approved this person. The person has that education that is needed to truly support the people that he or she needs to support. And so, parents asking, you can't just get up and say you're certified and not have not only the credentials, but the know-how and the technical ability to actually do all that.
And thank you so much. How often is that renewed? Is it like is it renewed like every 3 years, every 5 years, or is it one of certification that is done?
It's renewed every year, and then
Wow.
after, yes, every year you have to renew it when you start for the first 3 years, and then
Mm-hmm.
subsequently it's renewed every 3 years, and then when you have been in the field for, I think, about 6 or 7, because I'm a bit new to it, I've just had it for about 2.5 years now. You then get it permanently, but you have to have continuous professional developments.
Mm-hmm. I was going to
But
mention that.
you have to pay your yearly fees.
Mm-hmm.
And when you pay those yearly fees, it's always a way of checking if you are a par and doing what you say, you're doing. Because all those are ways to check and balance you. Because you know how the educational world is evolving and things are changing every day.
Mm-hmm.
So you just have to keep up with all that for you to get continuous certification.
One more thing I need to ask you. So I remember doing my own certification. We always it's always an exam, so it's not like you have to do like we call it it's practice. Dominic will know about that. There's a practice examination, and they're asking you theoretical things. If you have 6 children in your classroom, one is living with this particular disability, one is living without that disability, what are you going to be doing? What would your lesson plan look like? And you must check everything step by step as to what you're going to do. And that's for me, that shows that beyond the theoretical knowledge, the practicality of it is that what is it like in the in Ireland also?
Oh yes, theory to practice. That is a big issue. I mean, you have people who are very competent in terms of they can open a book, they can cram it, but when you put them in a space, they really don't have that hands-on, ability to the one-on-one
Mm,
hands-on ability. So
mm,
the program is designed in such a way that you don't only do the theory, but you're also doing the practice. It's very
mm-hmm,
intense, especially the masters in applied behavior analysis. Anybody that knows applied behavior knows that it's an
mm-hmm.
intense space to be in,
Yes.
because not only do you have to be alert and academically competent, you also have to be, hands-on, because you're dealing with children. So it's both ways, and you have to score a certain percentage to actually, be allowed into the space.
Thank you for sharing this with us because all about hearing what's applicable in other parts of the world, hearing what's applicable in developed countries. We know that Nigeria we have our peculiarities, but we want to know what is obtainable so that we can keep working towards it. Even if there's no policy that affects that yet, as an individual, tell yourself, I need to develop myself professionally. I'm not going to give up on, I'm not going to wait for the government. I'm not going to wait. I owe myself and the kids I work with that responsibility, and professional development, ability to back up what you know. I realize this about us in this part of the world, that it's more about theoretical, the practicality of it, because these are life, these are humans. Sorry, these are human, and it's not about what you know. A plus B will give me Z. It's about because one child with this disability, a child with autism, and the strategies you're going to use to work with that particular child, it's not the same thing you're going to use to work with another child with autism, because they exhibit in the different ways. Same goes for a child with dyslexia, same goes for a child with emotional disturbances and all of that. So thank you for sharing that with us. And I believe everyone is watching, everyone is listening, and they would hold themselves accountable to all that they've learned today, and find a way to ensure that they equip themselves for the so they're able and they're fit to be able to provide appropriate support to children living with special needs. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to come back to you, Dominic, and the question I have for you is, um, how is special and inclusive education being practiced in your part of the world? How is it being practiced pre-COVID and now in the era of COVID? And what do you think is going to look like post-COVID?
Wow, that's a great question. So, um, here in China, I guess there's really a distinction that needs to be made versus, I guess, schools that have like an international curriculum versus schools with a national curriculum. So I can't really speak too much on the schools that have the national curriculum, but I know that here in China that there are some schools that do cater to students with special needs, but I'm not sure of what all that curriculum entails. But one thing that I do know is that, individuals with disabilities are still pretty largely stigmatized here in China. You go out, you're not going to really run across an individual with, a noticeable disability. And so there is that. But for the international schools, most of them do have learning support programs. They kind of vary with the types of students that they support, usually students with very low or mild to moderate disabilities or learning needs. And so pre-COVID, what that looked like is what I would see in the States. You have your push into classrooms, assisting students, with the small group settings, or assisting a teacher with, I guess, evidence-based practices that they can use with students. And then you also had the pull out method where you're pulling those students out of the classroom to work on specific skills to remediate. And so that was kind of pre-COVID. Currently with COVID, a lot of those practices were still able to be maintained remotely. So if you're using a platform like Zoom or Microsoft Teams, you were able to, still meet one-on-one or in small groups with students remotely and still able to help them with those skills that they were working on. So obviously this would look different for students with more severe needs who require more, hands-on, which is something that's really difficult to do during COVID. But if you're at a school that is in a location that has more support, depending, there could be, I guess now more so than at the beginning, parents having options to have, related personnel and therapists come in to assist students with more severe needs that need the hands-on that you can't do remotely. And so post-COVID, for schools that are really on it, what I see happening is that schools that are really on it with the intent to really support students will develop, robust parent learning programs, right? Because looking back on what happened during COVID, students were at home and it was the responsibility of the parent to provide most of that education. And, parents realizing that, I really don't have the skill set to support my child the way that they need to be supported. And so I foresee with schools that are really innovative, developing programs to front load that teaching and learning with parents, in preparation for whatever happens next, the next pandemic, that you have a parent community that is highly trained on how to support their student at home. And so that's a beautiful thing that I have seen emerging during the COVID is that with the remote learning, more parents were providing, access into the teacher's classroom to kind of get
Mhm.
a glimpse of, the teaching and learning that's happening with their students. And so if it was great, perfect. It was not, parents kind of took note and realized, okay, maybe we need to have some conversations now because the things that I was seeing is not what I expect. And so that's one of the beauties that I see emerging from this is, schools developing more robust parent learning programs to really equip parents with the skill sets that they need to support their students.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you for that. And as you were speaking, I was just nodding. I was enjoying
Yeah.
everything you were saying because I'd always been an advocate of parental involvement. Even prior COVID, I always said to my parents, and I'd also seen it. I mean, for about 80% of our children living with disabilities that are doing exceptionally well, that have moved from one stage to the other, are those
Mhm.
children whom their parents coming for observation, who they're involved in the kids' learning, and the children thrive and they do a lot better. So I'm always like, parental involvement is very important. You are partners with us in this. We see more changes in your children when you're involved. And then COVID came. And now, initially, a lot of parents were like, I'm not going to do this. But it was taking longer than we envisaged. So they had to brace
Mhm.
up. And one thing that I've seen with most of our kids, and this is for me a new finding, about 50% of our students involved in health therapy and telepractice, they the parents say to me, you know what? I realized that it's doing a lot better now than when we were having physical classes. And the
Mhm.
only thing I could attribute to that is because we are all involved now. Everyone is
Yeah.
involved. So it shows that research is not wrong, that when parents are involved, children do better. So COVID wasn't totally a bad thing. It also showed us some things we needed to work on. And for me,
Mhm.
it's been everything COVID has done has been like more of lessons and affirming what I think should be. And it just hit drive its home more for us. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. Now, this question is meant for both of you. Nana, I know you were in Nigeria. I'm not sure if you've taught in Nigeria before, but you understand the system. You're always in touch with us. You've been home several times. Based on that and what you know about what is happening in Ireland, and then Dominic, you have taught in Nigeria. You've taught in Abuja, where I am. So you know
Mhm.
how special and inclusive education is being practiced. Now I will let you catch your breath, Dominic. I'll have Nana answer first, and then Dominic will talk. So Nana, what
Mhm.
do you think, based on your knowledge of what you know about us and what the inclusive education sector or special education sector is, and what is going on in Ireland? What would you advise? What are the things you think we could do better? What are the things you give us credit for? What are the things you want us to look more into? Be it area of professionalism, fidelity to practice, the practice of inclusive education itself. Could you please give us things that you want us to look into as teachers, as school owners, as parents, the government? What are those things that I want you to really wait? I want you to analyze it properly and tell us these are the things you're doing right. These are the things I think you can do better. We understand your peculiarities and all of that. Please, could you just share some light and share some things with us based on this question?
Oh my goodness, we could run a whole conference on all these questions. We'll cover
Just tell
as much
us
time,
as much as
but
you
I'll be
can.
as fast as I can. In truth, and actually, I have taught before. I taught in Zamfara. I did my youth service. I was sent to Federal Government College in Zamfara, and I did my
Oh,
youth service. But
interesting.
I taught yes for a very little short period, and then I was sent to Abuja, and I taught English and literature because yeah, I'd read linguistics. But having said that, I think one of the things that I really admire about our culture of Africans is the fact that we are very relationship bound. So we care about ourselves, about each other as a family unit. If one child has a disability or something, we tend to want to help out. So you're not worried about, as a mother, as a father, stepping out and you know that your child will not get care. However,
Hmm.
the fact that we are very cultural people as well, sometimes that stigma can be there, and people can also look at it as a curse, if you go spiritual, because we're cultural people. But I think things are changing. And we're beginning to realize that that's not what it is. It's just a neural diverse situation, or something went wrong. It could just be anything. And so with evolving and changing times in terms of education and awareness and social media, I think our perception is changing. And with schools like yours, you know, I see that the government is beginning to take interest, and more conversations are being heard and had in the area of inclusion. But having said that, personally, I think inclusion is a very, very broad, topic, and the
Absolutely.
conceptualization of it actually depends on your mindset, your
Hmm.
environment, your upbringing, and the kind of educational background you have, and even your environment as a family. So I believe truly that in Nigeria, it's all mostly about regulations and policy implementations. So sometimes these policies are there, but we really do not put them into practice, or we do not have the people who can actually train teachers to come into classrooms and use these strategies. For example, in the whole of Nigeria, you only have one board certified behavior analyst. In the whole of Nigeria, with all the millions of people you have, that's not enough. So I really think we should start from a place of quality and educational implementation, and trying to be fast because the time is running. And then to also look at how we can bring proper special needs education curriculum strategies into our universities, and to put people who truly really want to be there, and not just anybody who just doesn't get a job gets up and says, I'm a teacher now because I'm not getting a job. And it's important that we're also having certifications. It's
Hmm.
important.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dominic, I wanted to add something because I know you've taught in Abuja. Please tell us what your experience was and what you think we can do better, knowing what should be. You've been there, you've done that. Let us know what we could add to what we're doing already or what we could do better.
Absolutely. So yes, I did teach in Abuja at the American school there. And so even then, I realized that the education that those students receive there, it's not the education that every Nigerian student receives. So that point needs to be made really clear, right? Because it's definitely not equitable at
Mhm.
all.
Yeah.
But the educators that I did work with were very knowledgeable and innovative. And so, really, as a foreigner come in, there's not much I feel that I can say that you need to do this, you need to do that, because I'm definitely not of the, perception that just because I'm coming from the US or the West, that, I know best. But one thing that I do know is that Nigerian educators need the same things that any educator needs. Number one, proper funding of education. That's universal, right? Making
Mm,
sure that there's proper funding for every student, right? And so with that proper funding comes, research that needs to be had that's culturally relevant for, students with all of their differences in Nigeria. So, properly funding the universities and research institutions so that relevant research is happening in these educational programs that can be passed down to the schools. And then, even with that, again, more funding. So now we have the research. We need funding so that teachers are properly trained on how to apply that research to their individual classrooms. And so that's something that's applicable to any educator, no matter the country. That's something that we still struggle with in the US, realizing some of the errors of, even with the education that we have, realizing that, it may not be the most up to date with the current research. Having to go back and reteach ourselves because research has now indicated that what we've been doing all these years has not been effective.
Mhm.
And that happens only with proper funding.
Hmm. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we have just two more questions and then we'll be done. Now, both of you have, you've been so generous to us on our Telegram platform group where we educate teachers and parents. Now, and we totally enjoyed your training. Nana, we enjoyed your training. Dominic, want to say a big thank you to you. But I'm
Thank
a person
you.
that's always looking for ways to make things better. I just feel there's more, there's more, there's more. based on what you've seen us do on the Telegram support group, what are those things that you think we did right? And what are those things you also think we could do better? I'm always looking for ways to make things better, like I said. So I need you to speak to us. I need you to, some of our participants are online watching us. It could be in the maybe the area of reception, the way we were received, or the way the training went, what you think can be added to make it more robust and more effective. We want to hear from you, your experience, and what you think we can do better on the SEN support group for parents and educators. Anybody can go first.
Well, I would say that you are doing an excellent job. The using the Telegram platform was new to me, so I had to adjust to that. But the what you're doing is awesome, for educators and parents, providing, different people to come and speak on different topics that may be relevant to various members of the community. So that's an excellent thing. I see nothing wrong with that. It's all good. The only thing that I would say, just looking back, is just having like a way to, I guess, for anyone who's accessing the platform to be able to maybe categorize that learning so it's easy just to retrieve. Because, as an educator, we're always looking for resources and just finding, some place where it's just like neatly packaged and we don't have to spend a lot of time digging. It's like, one of the big things for us. But what
Yes.
you're doing is amazing.
Thank you. I've taken note of that. So
You're welcome.
we'll do like a survey and ask how people would want to access some of these resources on the platform. Thank you so much for that. Nana,
Mhm.
over to you.
It's interesting that Dominic said that because I actually had it noted down that
Wow.
I think the platform is phenomenal. The only thing I was going to add to what she and I'm going to read it so that you know that that's what I meant. I said the Telegram group is phenomenal, and I honestly believe you don't get enough credit for all that you do. So
Mhm.
add a yearly subscription platform to enable all stakeholders avail of materials they can use at home and within the educational
Oh,
setting. So
thank
it's
you. Thank you.
you know
I
Mhm.
so
thought of the subscription and I'm like, would people want to do any subscription? But I'm now, this has given me the confidence and the boldness to actually go out there and say, you want more, you want something more definite, then commit yourself. Thank you so much for
yes,
that, for giving me that liberty. Because another thing I didn't want to do was I didn't want you guys to feel like, oh, you know how people can be. Oh, we are the one providing the resources, and she's getting using the subscription to get people to commit and all of that. I don't like such things, but if I'm getting the go ahead from you guys, then everyone watching, you want to get more, you want to get more organized, then you need to subscribe. Thank you for that. Go ahead.
I think so.
Yes.
I buy into that too. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. So one last question before, not even a question. I always say this, and I'm going to have Dominic talk to parents, and I'm going to have Nana talk to educators. Tell us one or two things you want us to. You've said a lot from us, but in two sentences, this is had kept me going as a parent. This had kept me going. What is that thing that a parent should always that will keep them? We all wake up every day. We're thinking, when is this going to end? Will it ever end? Will I ever have a normal child? How long do I need to keep spending? Parents have questions, but I always say it's easier to hear from another parent who has been there, done that, and is still going through it. What advice do you have for parents? And of course, Nana, you will take for the teachers.
Well, that's a good one. So, like going back to my son's, diagnosis, where after he was born, he spent the first 2 weeks still in the hospital, and so I wasn't able to stay there, but I would go and visit every day, and so that would be my me time, just, driving to the hospital, listening to my gospel music. And very early on, I had to let go of the why me,
Hmm.
and then turn it around to why not me? If
Hmm.
there isn't anyone else, it's you. You're qualified to
Hmm.
handle this,
Hmm.
and so that's something I accepted very early, like within like the first week or two of his life. I let go of the why me and turn into why not me? You know, you're qualified to deal with this. You were chosen for a reason. Let's ride this out. And I know for now that it's going to be, you know, till one of us leaves this earth. And so it's going to be a lifelong journey. And so one thing that I would tell to any parent is just find your village, whoever that is. It may not be, you know, your blood family, but find someone, you know, who's willing to go on that journey with you, you know, and just
Interesting.
hold tight to that relationship.
Find your village. Interesting. Thank you so much for that. Nana, over to you for educators.
Okay. I think that as an educator, one of the most important things you should do is for you to be an active lifelong learner.
Learner. Hmm.
It's so key. And the other thing is to learn to work in partnership with people. Because in this profession, you can't do it alone. No
True.
one person can do it alone. You have to work as a team with the parents, with all other stakeholders, and even with the government as well. So those are the two things that I'll leave with the educators.
Interesting. Before I let it go, I know a few people might have one or two questions, and we're going to just give you a minute. I don't want to keep you beyond, we've already exceeded the time, but because I believe it's an interactive session, I'm reading all of the comments, and they're just like wowed by all of your advice and all of your everything you've thrown out there, all of the nuggets. I call it nugget because these are things you can't even buy. Even if you read everything, these are from real people who are telling you their real experiences. So somebody said teaching is not a job you can just branch into. You have to be deliberate, you have to be passionate about it. I mean, it's training, professional development can never be overemphasized. Somebody was excited to write out English language learners ELL. So many passion and all that we've said. I can see that people are really connecting with all that you said. So if there are any questions, real quick, I want Nana to go back to a busy schedule, and Dominic to also go back. I wonder what time it is in China now, and I want to truly appreciate you for this. The other time you had the training for us, it was already midnight, and I'm like, who does that? It has to be someone that knows what age. I mean, who is willing, who is passionate, who is selfless, that would go into night and still want to impact knowledge. I want to thank you. Any question, everybody? I'm actually scrolling up and down to be sure that I give you opportunity to speak to these beautiful ladies. Their heart is pure. Their mind is out of this world. They're just unique, special individuals. I am so glad to call them sisters. I hope I'm your sister, really. I hope I'm not assuming. I'm so glad, I just feel so connected with you guys, and I'm so proud of you and what you're doing. Thank you so much. I cannot see any question right now, and I wouldn't want to let you go. But I want to ask a question. I would ask in the group, and I would want to say if anyone has any question, they could leave it in the group, the Telegram group, or send me an inbox message, or even leave the questions on the comments section, so that you can respond to it at your own time. You can go on our YouTube, on the YouTube. Yeah, the question will still be there the next day, and on my Facebook page and all other of our platform. And please just scroll and respond. And if you do not mind, if you have like a work email where you don't want people prying into your privacy, you could also leave your email there. Let us know if it's okay. It's not mandatory, but if it's okay, please. Somebody wrote a question quickly before you go. I saw something in SA. Everyone who did education do a unit course in special education. Is not so here in Nigeria. If we can fight this, will it be fine too? Well, and that's just a comment. That's a comment from South Africa. So they're asking, can we also do that also? So I think it will be upset. I mean, it is possible. So knowing all of these things together, we'll gradually put all it together in our policy, like make adjustments, speak up. And that's why we all need to speak, like you said, partner with the government. When you hear something about public hearing, any issue about policy, make yourself available, speak up, speak out, let's keep talking, and then our change would come. But I needed you to just respond. If it's okay, would you be glad to go back and answer questions? If they are being asked, would you be kind enough to share your email if it's doable? We're not saying it's not mandatory. If it's possible, please leave your emails for us after this this particular episode. So is that a yes from Dominic?
Yes.
Is that a yes from Nana?
Oh, yes.
Thank you so much. We'll get it. Once we're done, it's going to be displayed on the comments um, section. Thank you so much, ladies. I am excited you did this with me, and I know I have you, and I know you got my back, and I've got your back too. We can always lean on one another just to ensure that our kids with exceptional abilities get the best of what they can in in this world. Really, I want to say in this world. Thank you so much, Dominic. Thank you so much, Nana. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
you
Thank
both.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I'll let
Thank
you go
you.
right now
Bye.
while I round off. Thank you.
Right. Have a great evening. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
So, thank you everyone for joining in today. It's been a wonderful learning experience for me, and I'm sure you had the same experience. Let's all keep learning. Let's all keep thriving. All that we've learned today, professional development, being able to so it's not all about certification. It's all about being able to make a difference. It's about researching. It's about making yourself relevant and giving the right information to our children in our classrooms, in wherever we find ourselves as parents. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who was able to join in today. Don't forget to join us again next week. And it's a goodbye for me on this particular episode, industry focus of finding out with specialists. This particular industry focus would come your way again same time in a month's time. So it happens only first Sunday of the month. Thank you to everyone who was able to join. I I appreciate you all and I love you. Bye bye.